Life is a journey of people, places, and perspectives. Welcome to Eyes on Eve, a special series spotlighting women leaders around the islands of the Bahamas and their work in the community as they continue to agitate for social and economic empowerment. This series is brought to you by the National Women's Advisory Council of the Bahamas, the Ministry of Social Services and Urban Development, and the Department of Gender and Family Affairs. The Bahamas is an archipelago of islands connected by our faith in God and our culture. Each island still has a uniqueness that makes traveling around the Bahamas an adventure. Today, our journey takes us to New Providence, the capital. Let's meet our special guest, Mrs. Prodesta Moore. Welcome, Prodesta.
How are you?
I am awesome. It is just such a delight to have you join us here today from the capital of Nassau. And so our eyes are on Nassau today. And, you know, there's so much things we can say about Nassau because I tried to give a little bit of history of a little, about each of the islands. So those who are watching us both locally and globally can get a flavor, a taste of the islands of the Bahamas. And so what you would say Nassau is best known for?
I would say it's food. Very delicious food. Our cuisine, definitely.
Now, I know the family islands will beg to differ with that, but in any event, perhaps next National Women's Week, we'll have a cook-off among the islands.
Yes.
Yesterday, Exoma told us they have the best tasting food. And so, as you know, we've been stopping around the islands, spotlighting the various initiatives, programs, and the women who are doing the work behind that as community builders. So who is Prodesta Moore? Tell us a little bit who this woman is.
Well, first of all, Ms. Benby, I would like to say thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this exciting show today. And I would like to, first of all, say that Prodesta Moore is just a regular woman who loves people, love being that hand and feet towards whatever I can do to assist people, our brothers, especially our brothers and sisters here in New Providence. Our focus really, and my focus really is helping to bring women up to the level where we can basically take care of ourselves, sustain ourselves and our families. So once we begin to empower young girls, I feel that we can now make a difference in our country and across the world. So Prodesta Moore is that person who actually wants to be there to render whatever assistance she can to lend to another sister to say, come on, you can do this. I can hold your hand. We can walk together and we'll see to it that you are successful in whatever it is that you attempt to do.
Okay. So you alluded some of the things that you're doing, but I know you're also a wife and a mother. So you juggle a number of hats while yet still so actively involved in the community. Could you tell us specifically a little bit more about your program, the name of your program, its aim and its objectives? What is it exactly that you are doing in Nassau?
Well, definitely. I am the founder and the president for the Bahamas Urban Youth Development Center. In short, we call it BUIDC. And this organization started in 2010 with a focus on helping to empower our young women, our young girls, starting with the teens and within middle schools. And we decided to focus on teenagers because we feel that they are at the age where they're so impressionable, they're sponges, they can absorb so much. So if we can reach them at an early age and try to provide them with the tools and the resources that they need to make healthy and proud decisions, that we can make a difference. So the organization started with the focus on working with these young women, empowering them, helping them to help identify what it is in themselves that they would like to achieve and to present, or I guess to display their self-worth. Understand that you are all valuable, you're worth something. So it doesn't matter which community or which neighborhood you came from, that you are somebody. You can be whatever it is that you want to be once you apply yourself. So basically, that's how we started out. We started targeting those inner city communities where we have a lot of at-risk youth by way, because of the community where they came from, the risk factors are so great. So we wanted to be able to help them to understand that it doesn't matter because you come from Bainstown, which is where I came from, or from any other community that is so disenfranchised, that you have to stay within the walls of whatever is happening. You can go beyond that. You can exceed from wherever. Once you put your mind to say that you want to be something, you can actually achieve it if you apply yourself. And we wanted to be that support for those individuals.
Wow, that is a significant work. And to be in the inner city community, sometimes they're neglected, our marginalized communities, our marginalized women. We tend to have programs and everything geared towards, I call it the mainstream of
Yes.
society. And we forget those. And so I know this must be a significant work that you are doing in this community. So give us some of the highlights that has impacted you significantly. Some of the experiences that, are notable that will be etched in the annals of history in your life for years to come.
And that is very important, because I told my husband and my children, I said, you know what, I am a wife and I am a mother, but I don't want to just be known when I leave this earth for being a good wife and a good mother. I want to be able to leave a legacy behind where people can say that I made a difference. I impacted them in some way. So I set myself out to be able to be that change, as Gandhi said, that you want to see happen in this world. So I said, instead of us criticizing our young women, watching them and saying, oh, this one looks this certain way, she's a junglist, she's this and that, and nobody's really doing anything to try to see how can I help them to, if I think that they should look a certain way, not being judgmental, but how can I provide them with some kind of assistance to say, because that might be all they have and all they know. So we wanted to be able to say, reach out to them and say, if you're not comfortable with the way that you are, is there something that you want changed about yourself or changed about your life and the way things are happening? So we targeted some individuals that people frown upon. They call commercial sex workers. And we decided that, you know what, we're going to reach these young women and give them some kind of support. And at that instance, when we did this, these young girls were like so amazed to know that somebody even thought that I'm not invisible, that somebody even thought about me to say, come on, we're going to provide some opportunities for you to train, to expand yourself or to enhance some of your skill sets that you have, that you don't have to just settle for laying on your backs and doing things that's not the norm, that there is a way out. Now, if you choose to do that, then we also want to be able to empower you that whatever you decide to do, that you're doing it with your best interest in mind. So say, for instance, that if you're going to be having unprotected sex, that's not a good idea. So we tried to talk to these young women, especially in the middle school, because believe me, that's been happening from an early age within the middle school. I'm talking about transactional sex work, girls looking for opportunities to take care of themselves. So they're trying to say, I have something that is marketable and somebody wants, so I'm going to use what I have to be able to take care of me. So with our trainings, we tried to say, there's another way if you decide that you want to do something different. Here's the other way. Here's how we can assist you. Here's how we can keep you safe until you make the decision that you want to try the other way. So our organization really wanted to make sure that we were there to hold the hands of these young women, support them, show them the opportunities, give them the information, give them the knowledge they need, that when they make a decision to do something, whether it's good or bad, that they're informed, they're educated about those decisions that they make. People might look at it and say, wow, what are you guys doing? We're trying to help to keep our young women alive, keep our young men alive, because guess what? It's a ripple effect. Because if the young women are not safe and they're not doing, making healthy choices and choices that they can be proud of and their parents can be proud of, is going to impact that young man too, that they're going to interact with. So we have to make sure that we are doing, having programs to help to support our young men and women in this country if we want to continue to have a healthy Bahamas.
Well, that is a mouthful and very profound because, you know, I know for many who will be viewing has probably heard those terms perhaps for the first time. Give it to me, commercial sex worker.
Commercial sex workers, yes.
Okay. Put that in
Yes.
layman's terms so the average person can understand exactly what you
Well, you
said.
know, they call it prostitution. It's one of the oldest profession in the world, but it doesn't add any dignity. So now, just like you and I get up every day and we go to work, we have our family, take care of our kids. These women have families. They get up, they feed their kids, get them ready for school, and do whatever they have to do, and they get dressed and go to work. But COVID-19 came on stream, so a lot of them are going to have to think about some different professions. And that's why we now started some other training programs to help to produce some livelihood development training so people can now start thinking how to feed myself, agriculture, how to support myself and sustain myself within this time. And now it's going to be the new norm.
So how was that received in terms of now you saying to your target audience to say, okay, we have classes and opportunities to retrain and retool you as a commercial sex worker. How was that received from them as well as from the general population who would, because you see a lot of NGOs, we typically speak to empowerment from, I call it the pretty stuff,
Yes.
the glorified stuff, but not necessarily getting down and dirty into some of the taboo things within our culture and our society. Like you say, it's one of the oldest professions in the book. We know who's doing it, but we simply don't talk about it. And I applaud you and we salute you and we see you as a part of National Women's Week in the work that you're doing, that you're in an area that the average person perhaps would not even have considered. But here it is that someone's daughter, someone's son, whose life you are saving, but also retraining and retooling them to look at alternative professions to be able to provide for themselves. So how was that received from them, who you were primarily targeting, as well as others who know about the work that you're doing?
Well, I believe it's being well received because people are of the understanding that things are different now, that people are not going to put themselves further at risk and their families because, in terms of even with the social distancing and the lockdowns, families have to now, so those persons who would have been your clients have to now stay at home more. Now the country's just opening up. So I think based on all of that with the lockdowns, the social distance, they didn't have a choice because the market now was not the same. So now depending on the government to provide even for a meal, a bag of grocery, to the Food Distribution Task Force, that's where a lot of persons found themselves having to depend on the system now to take care of them. Whereas even if they go out in the streets to try to solicit, the clientele wasn't there, it wasn't the same. Because again, people are being more conscious of the fact that now we can spread COVID and it can definitely impact not only the HIV/AIDS prevention, because that's not being talked about at this time right now. The focus is COVID-19, coronavirus. People are being afraid because, that's now at the forefront of people's minds. So I think with the rethinking of training, and that's why we decided to talk about farming, backyard farming. That's the new thing right now, where a lot of persons are saying, whatever you have in your home, you prepare a meal, you can now transfer that meal into multiple meals by taking that onion, potato, carrots, lettuce, cabbage, and now as you prepare a meal, you take the remains and the scraps, and now you use that either to replant or to get some seeds out of it, or to develop some compost to take care of your gardens. So we're trying to give a new thinking as to how things now can move forward in the new norm. So I think it's coming along very well.
That's very forward thinking and innovative of you and what it is that you're doing. Because like you said, in relations to COVID-19 and backyard farming, it gives a level of food sustainability. And as we look globally, it's impacting, because as in the Bahamas for us, we import the majority of what it is that we eat. But once we can begin to supply ourselves, and of course, you could never eat enough cabbage. So you have an opportunity to sell that. Um,
Mhm.
if you're not going to plant one cabbage tree or one cabbage plant, and
Absolutely.
so and when they yield, they don't yield one, and so it also creates another kind of transaction where you can now sell your surplus and really
Absolutely.
and truly create revenue stream for you. And so I applaud that work that you are doing as you continue to be extremely innovative and creative in what you're doing to support the community in which you work. Now, there is another hat that you wear that I am pleased that's how we got connected, and that is through Women United. So here it is. You have the Urban Youth Program, and now you have Women United. I know your husband must be saying, "When are you going to be home?" Tell us a little bit more about the genesis of Women United and what brought that about.
Well, yeah, my husband, but he's very supportive. Believe me, he is there, and he know that this is the thing that really drives me. So once I am doing what makes me happy, then it makes him happy because I'm going to be happy at the end of the day to be that partner to him. So with Women United, it came about, Raquel, when we thought about all of the things that's happening around the world and also happening within our country as it relates to let's even take the politics that's happening in our country. When we see the makeup of our politicians in the House of Parliament, we see the small percentage that's represented. We know that women are the majority voting bloc in this country, and then we see just a 13% representation. It just doesn't add up. So we're saying we as women have to put aside politics, the political colors. We have to put aside the religion. We have to put aside everything that separates us as women and see how we can come together as a united front and say, let's see how we can, number one, support those women who are facing those challenges, like those women out there we talked about earlier. And it's
Mm-hmm.
going to take us to give them the support and be the big sisters to those
Mm-hmm.
women. So Women United is here to play that role as the big sister. How can we now help you and support you in whatever small way that we can to help you to get from the challenges that you are facing if you want to get on the right path or a path to move towards being successful. So we said, let's bring women from all of these various backgrounds and say, how can we unite as women and have a common cause? Let's focus on what's common among us. What do we have to do to bring us together? And so the thought behind it was like bringing women together, putting politics aside, putting religion aside, and focusing on how we can now come together to see what a country needs to move forward. When women are empowered, the country
Mm-hmm.
is successful. And
Mm-hmm.
we can do things within the social realm by saying, or going even to those political parties and say, we want a 50% representation. We want more women at the table to represent us.
Mm-hmm.
Women who are going to think about the social ills, who are going to think about those families and those communities, who is going to think about how the high electricity, I'm sorry, who is going to think about how the high cost of electricity is impacting our homes and our families and all of us. So we need women to not just think about the development and bringing in the investors, I'm sorry, the politicians who only think about those investments, to now start thinking about what our country needs to be able to empower our people, that we can be better people, that our families can be able to take care of themselves and survive, and help to look at some of the reasons why the crime is so high and to see what can we do to help to bring these things to the forefront, the things that our families need, the single mother, the senior citizen. What do we need collectively as a country to help to bring our people to the level where they're in a good place, where they feel good at the end of the day, they can go home and have food on their table and take care of their families. So Women United is just coming together. We're encouraging women from all walks of life. we're going to take this into the Family Islands. And Raquel, we went into the Northern Bahamas, which is Abaco, Bimini, and Grand Bahama. So we want to go through all of the Family Islands and be able to bring women together who can speak with one voice, stand together, hold each other's hand, support each other, even at the polls, and say, we have the right women at the poll. Let's support these women. Let's put them in Parliament to represent us. Those are the kinds of things that Women United wants to be able to put forward and financially back those women. Even if we take the use of grassroots approach, $1, $2, $5, we'll support you. That's what we want to see.
That's how it was done back in the day. I recall, even from a church perspective, the women held all of the little cookouts and sold the comforters on the Saturdays, on the weekends, to be able to raise funds to get certain things done. And so women, as we say, as we go through this time of National Women's Week, the suffrage movement, that's what it was all about. It was being able to come together with one voice and one purpose, to be able to set a path for our future. And the added part to this theme this year, as I would have just actually gave the former part of the team, the See Me, it speaks to the social and economic empowerment. Because when we speak to actually having a seat at the table, there are certain things that need to be in place. And so the various NGOs and other community organizations, faith-based organizations, they all play a role in providing the network and the resources needed to truly empower persons so that they can have a seat at the table. And it's, through education, it's through entrepreneurship. These are the things, and through your program, that is what you are now providing. Because when I hear about backyard farming, see, it was a thing for many persons nowadays because of new professions. Again, that was actually the oldest profession. From God created Adam. For those who believe in the Bible, what he was in, he was a farmer. Adam was a farmer. And so all we're doing is we're going back to the earth to till the soil. And that is allowing us to create entrepreneurial opportunities for our families and to be able to provide, because now, even from a healthy perspective, you have a level of control of your consumption. You don't have to worry about what pesticides, you know what you did in your yard, you know how you treated your plants. And so when we speak to social and economic empowerment, what you're doing through the Urban Youth Program and through Women United is providing the network and the resources and the tools needed to propel women forward to be able to have a seat at the table. Because when you go and you sit next to these men, they want to know you coming with sense. Because, most times men would look at us as women, okay, y'all emotional, y'all ain't logical. You can get emotional about how that decision was made, as opposed to understanding the logic behind how that decision was made. And it's through the educating ourselves and exposing ourselves and keeping ourselves informed globally and locally as to what is happening and how we can find solutions. Because there are many of us who are sitting down, who are not at the table, who have solutions. Absolutely. And through this Women United and through Urban Youth, it is now propelling women and making them, like I said, giving them the support, even if it's, okay, you don't have the financial means by which to, say, run an election. Okay, because we want a woman there who understands and feel what we feel, we can go on the corner and we will collect $1 a day just to ensure that a woman is there, or women are there to bring that balance in terms of how policies are made. And so once again, I say, I salute you. I know you yourself also are a budding politician, if I must say, if I can use that word, because you have ran. I'm not sure if you're disclosing with us this year, if you will be running again in 2022. But if you're not, I know you will be supporting women all the same who will decide to put themselves forward. And with that being said, when we're talking about now, as we look at National Women's Week, what are your thoughts on the advancement of women? Now, I know you talked about the fact that we have the largest voting bloc, but in general, let's take a holistic look at women and our advancement from the time of the suffrage movement, not just only from a political standpoint, but from a societal standpoint? Are we truly advancing?
Oh, that's a good question. But one thing I can say, I feel that the energy now it's coming. It's getting there. We're not there yet, but I see women as, especially the younger women, are starting now to look at the fact that we have to get together. We have to stand together, because guess what? The political parties are there. It's outfitted with so many men, and the reason why the men are so afraid or, no, or timid, I would say, with having so many women is because we know that they're going to have to give up some seats. So we have, as women, are now in a position, or now I think we're now getting ready to say, let's make a difference. Let's stand up and let's go represent. But I think the concern is we want to make sure that we have the right women. I think because, women, we want to be proud of who's there representing us, because the men, they get away with whatever. They can come and show up and be as airhead as what, and it doesn't really matter. But when a woman comes up and presents and is speaking or standing up and representing the voices of women, we want to ensure that we have the right women representing. So I think that's a major concern, and we can work through that, because we can put in positions. We have civil that's now formed. We have Women United. We have other entities and groups coming together to see how can we now find women to mentor other women who are willing to offer themselves. And I think that's important, that we come up with these policies and present to the political parties and say, we want you to be serious about putting women forward, not just say that you want to put women forward because you're trying to impress or to gain votes. Be intentional about the women that you are going to put forward and the areas that you're going to put them in. Make sure that these are winnable areas, that you're not just putting people in just for the sake of it. So I think from that perspective, and women understanding how important being at the table is, we're starting to see them come forward. We're starting to see the support, the network. Because when I can sit to the table with a sister from another political party, and we can talk and be on one accord with things that impact us or affect us as women, I think that's saying something for itself. And we've seen it. We've seen Women United at the earlier time of the year, the earlier part of this year, had a forum where we brought women together, and I thought that was phenomenal. I thought it was awesome to be able to hear a Glennis Hannah Martin, and to have them sit at the same front row together, Loretta Butler and the Ali McIntosh and all of these other women from the various parties come together and sit together and hear from Robin Lines and oh my God, I thought it was just amazing to hear, and Lanisha, the minister role. It was just phenomenal. We have to continue in that vein, where we're bringing people together to speak, have that one voice, something in common that it's going to impact and is going to influence more women to come forward and know that we're going to hold your hand and we're going to guide you and give you the tips and the tools and the strategies to make it when you get there. So now, I'm excited.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, because go right on ahead, finish that statement.
No, I say I'm excited. I'm ready for what's going to happen in 2022.
But I have a question, because this whole, I call it shift, is really a mind shift. It's a paradigm shift. It's a cultural shift for all. And even for some women, do you feel that they have really embraced this cultural shift, this mindset shift that says we deserve and we are worthy to be able to have a seat at the table? Because you speak about a common cause or a common purpose. When women from different political sides can come together, but they unite because of the common purpose, which is the advancement of women.
Yes.
And when we think about in general, we find that a lot of women tend to, well, Raquel, look like she's getting too far, so I can pull her down, or I'm going to start something that makes Raquel not look good. So because she can't go that far because it isn't me. What do we do here? because that seems to be one of the weaknesses and the major weakness for us as women. Because, like you said, two men could come together in the room. Okay, me and you agree, we fine. Okay, good. They moving ahead, mind you. It may make absolutely no sense. The other person, perhaps, in terms of from a character perspective, could be questionable. But once men decide that they're going to work together, they're going to work together. For some reason, we don't see the same thing with women, and I'm not saying that straight across the board, but for the most part, because we have even adopted the term here in the Bahamas, the black crab syndrome. What do we do?
It's going to have to be, we're going to have to do a massive educational campaign. We're going to have to go into the, and it's not just the inner city communities. We're going to have to even go in corporate Bahamas, and we're going to go where women groups are and we're going to start having those conversations with women. We just talked about, spoke with one of my board members the other day through Women United. And I said, we're going to have to start putting together our schedule to go into the churches, those women groups at church, those, going into the political women groups and during their forums and meetings, going into wherever that there are a number of women, and make sure that the message gets to women on the importance of us being there to support, pulling each woman down and talking to those women at the top and saying, when you get to the top, you have to keep that door open. You have to show women that you are going to make room to bring them along with you. When we can have the confidence, as a leader, I am so excited when I see another woman that I've trained and she's able to do whatever I've taught her to do better than me and take it a notch further. I'm excited. But we have a lot of women who are intimidated by that. We're not here forever. This is not our seat to keep with our name on it. We have to know that once we are taking this position and in this chair, that we're supposed to be making room for that other lady, that other woman, to bring her up. And that you move, as if there's another seat to move ahead, then you move ahead and you bring that other person along. So it's going to take a lot of talking and education and influencing and seeing us being the examples. So we're going to have to see women who are examples to be able to demonstrate that and show that this is a different day. That old way of thinking does not work for us. It doesn't advance us. So let's see how we can bring women up, support them, hold their hands, guide them, because the men are not going to do it. That's not their responsibility. It's our responsibility to want it enough that we're willing to take it and to take it and say, we're going to take this together.
Well, 20 years from now, where do you see the women in the Bahamas?
20 years from now, oh boy, I see us as being so far advanced. I see even this country, once women are and it can happen, once women are at the table, I see a country where women are empowered, that women are moving forward and transforming communities, with those inner city communities where the people are struggling. And I know Jesus talks about the poor always being with us, yes. But we can bring them up to a point where there's comfortableness, that they're comfortable in a community where, because, you know, as a woman, when you drive by and you see another woman on the street, holding children and walking with them, or struggling and going into a home where the roof is leaking, it does something to me. And I'm sure it does something to you and other women who can do something about it. But 20 years from now, I see this as a country where we are moving to a place where we can now empower so many families, where there's beautification projects on every block, where homes are being revamped and transformed, and it's being done by people in those communities. We call it asset building. We want to make people to be a part of it because they can be so proud of walking through their street and say, this is something that I was a part of. And I see that happen, and I have a vision, and I want to believe that it's going to happen within the next 10 to 15 years, actually.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that vision with us. What you see in the next 10 to 15 years. And once again, on behalf of the National Women's Advisory Council of the Bahamas and the Department of Gender and Family Affairs, we celebrate you, Prodesta, for what you are doing through Urban Youth, through Women United, and all the other hats that you wear through your community building and contribution to building a better Bahamas, and in particular down there in Nassau. Bahamas in Baintown and Farrington
Yes.
Road. You are making a difference in those communities, and we celebrate you. We salute you. We want you to know that we see you, and not just from the acronym C in this instance, but we do see you. We see your work, and we see your worth because you're bringing value and you're impacting lives. You're transforming communities by your work. And so we want to say thank you for being our guest here today on RBNTV and a part of Eyes on Eve special series where we're spotlighting women from around the islands. And so we want to thank our viewing audience this evening who have tuned in to watch Eyes on Eve and celebrate National Women's Week with us. We want you to tell somebody we are celebrating women. Don't be intimidated, like we said. Don't be intimidated that when you see a mass movement of women coming together on one accord, it's just a great thing for our country that we are unifying and we're coming together to advance and progress the country. And it's not from an individualistic perspective, but we're looking at it from a community perspective where we collectively are working together to make a better Bahamas. And so I invite you to tune in to our Facebook page, that's the National Women's Advisory Council, where we have a She Rose campaign. Do you know a woman who's making, I call it making impact in your community, on an island, wherever she's at? We want you to go to that page, nominate a woman, vote for her, and let us know what she is doing. So you're encouraged to go to the National Women's Advisory Council's Facebook page and salute the woman that you think is a shero in your community. We have seen a number of sheroes as we've gone around the Bahamas, and we have some other stops to make. And so we're excited. We are on an adventure finding these women who are making a difference in our community. So thank you for joining us once again. And we look to see you on our next stop on another beautiful island in the Bahamas. God bless you and see you again soon.
Thank you for tuning in to RBN TV, your Bahamian-inspired and globally focused YouTube channel where we are empowering lives and transforming communities. Stay connected to us through our Facebook page, Instagram page, or here on YouTube. Thank you once again for joining us and see you again real soon. God bless.